Hi everyone, welcome to our live stream to talk all about digital marketing with Danielle. Hey Danielle.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Do you want to maybe just let everybody know a little bit about you? What I'm interested in most to start with is what you do.
Okay, great. Well, hi, I'm Danielle Duhan. I work in digital marketing at a digital marketing agency. We specialize in B2B, that's business to business. Digital marketing, we work mainly with software companies, technology companies, and marketing tech companies. And in short, we help other companies sell their products to other companies. So we do paid search, paid social, and search engine optimization, or SEO.
All right, so I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you break that down a little bit. So digital marketing is like such a big space, right?
Yeah.
There's so much that can be done in digital marketing, and if you're just getting started in marketing, there's a couple of skills you can pick up and then build your skills from there. So just like down to basics, you work for a marketing agency and you help large companies advertise to their clients. Is that kind of the gist of it? Or how would you explain it? If you were trying to explain to somebody who didn't know marketing as well as you do, how would you explain your job?
So if I were talking to my grandma or my parents,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yep. So, so my role at the company I work for is customer success or account management. So what I do is I help that client relationship. So I'll speak to it from my position and what I do.
Sure.
So what I do is I help coordinate different teams who execute strategies to help companies sell their different technologies to another company. So the way that we do that is through paid social advertising. So any ads that you would see on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, any of those social platforms is where you would see one of our ads. And then also on Google search and on Bing search.
Okay.
And you'll also find our ads, well, not necessarily ads, but then there's a second part to it. So that's a paid side of it all, where we pay for exposure. And then the next side of it is the organic side, and that's the search engine optimization side, where we help companies optimize a site through keyword targeting, content, and other strategies to help that website rank in the search results organically.
Okay. So if I'm a large company, like let's just use one that everybody knows, like Microsoft, for example,
Yep.
and I'm selling a product, I might put together a little ad, which is like a banner ad that everybody's familiar with, like a little box that has a message in it. And your company's job would be to make sure that ad is displayed in front of potential buyers when they're doing searches on Google, when they're looking on Facebook, when they're looking on Instagram, basically anywhere where they're browsing the internet, which is like the digital part of marketing. You want to get Microsoft's message in front of customers that might potentially buy one of their products, for example.
Yep, exactly. And part of what we do is it's not just selling the product; it's also education. So it's helping that individual understand that they need that solution. So let's continue with Microsoft, and let's say that they're trying to promote their SharePoint product. So they would run ads on any of the search engines to promote their SharePoint product. But let's just say you need to learn about it. So what would happen is we would put a content download or something that is like a case study or a white paper or a guide to help educate that individual. So that's a big part of what we do, is that education part, and then eventually get that buyer to try a free trial and eventually purchase the product.
Okay, so like the ad basically says, um, we want you to read this guide to how to organize your files. And Microsoft SharePoint is kind of an enterprise version of like a Dropbox, which a lot of people are familiar with. And so you would read that guide and it would tell you the best way to organize your files, put them in a specific folder structure, for example, and then you would go from there. So that is the paid side of marketing that you work on. And then you talked about there's another side, which is the organic side. for people who don't know what that means, like if you said to me just on the street, what is organic? Like I would think about food. I wouldn't think about marketing. Like what, right? Like what is that?
Why would you?
Yeah. What is organic marketing exactly?
Sure. So organic marketing, or let's say search engine optimization, or SEO. So it's commonly called SEO. What we're doing is we are trying to target keywords to a website that people could potentially be searching for. So let's continue with that Microsoft SharePoint example, and someone might type into their search query, how do I organize my files, or file organization. So you would want to have keywords on your site and content built on your site to help you come up in those search results. And then there's also so along with the content and the keywords, there's different structures of the content. There's headers, there's background data that help show Google that, or provide a ranking signal to Google that this is something that your site wants to rank for.
Okay.
So what's the end goal? If you were to put all your hard work into like one sentence, what does success look like for you?
Revenue.
So, and when you say revenue, we're trying to get people that want to buy what your company makes to the place that they need to buy it.
Yep, exactly. So the clients that we work with, they have different levels of measurement. So we start with a goal or a conversion point. So that would be a lower level win. And then we go down one more level to a marketing qualified lead, or an MQL. And that's telling that company, hey, this person's interested. They downloaded a guide, they downloaded a white paper. Maybe a salesperson should engage with this potential buyer. And then it goes further down the funnel to an SQL, or a sales qualified lead, where they've done a free trial and they've shown more intent. And then one layer down would be that revenue. So what we are working to do is help push that buyer all the way through that process and ultimately close revenue. Because the clients that we work with, the large companies, they're looking to make money.
Okay. So just to draw a parallel example, like if you are a consumer and you're out shopping for sneakers, you're going to get ads from Nike. Maybe 100 people get ads from Nike, and then of the 100 people who get ads, 10 people buy. Those are the 10 customers that turn into revenue. And the example you're using is just on the business side of things. Mm-hmm. If Microsoft is selling a business product to a business buyer, then they're going to try to get 1,000 people to see their ads and 100 people to buy, for example. And that purchase is the revenue that you're talking about.
Yep, that's correct. And with the companies that we work with, they're less emotional purchases, like a pair of shoes, and they're more business-driven purchases. So if you think about it, you really have to build a case to sell that company on your product, because more often than not, these are subscriptions. So if you're buying into Dropbox, if you're buying into SharePoint, you're buying a subscription. So you're getting into a lasting relationship with this company. So you have to get more members or more of your team members to buy into the product. So it's less of an individual driven purchase and more of a group driven purchase.
Okay. So now I was thinking, what I would love to do is like go back in time. So everything you just described is like a real job in marketing, and it's kind of complicated. You have a lot of skills that you use. You're working with enterprise companies that are selling to other enterprise companies. So if we go back in time to kind of your early days, like how did you get started down this path? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about like what was your first job, for example, and give us a little bit of the story of like how you even found out about marketing.
Sure. So this was not the goal. The goal was to be a forensic psychologist. And then I started doing psych and law classes in college, and it is not for me. It's just too much. But what I found was I was a photographer, and I worked at the student paper, and I started skipping class to go take pictures and go on photo shoots. So that was really telling to me that maybe psychology isn't the road for me. But there's quite a bit of psychology used in marketing. So I'm not saying my skills aren't used. So after I graduated from college, I got a job working at a local sporting goods store to do web photography for them. And that was the first taste of web dev I got. So what I would do is I would take the photo of the sunglasses or shoes or whatever, and then I would put it onto the site, and I would have to enter title tags and descriptions, which are big key indicators for SEO. And at the time, meta keywords were really big, so we would have to enter in all the meta keywords and optimize the page as we uploaded the photograph. And then at that job, someone asked me to help them with some pay-per-click ads. So I started putting together campaigns for this next school year in backpacks. So that's really was my first taste of digital marketing. Totally random and not the road I was thinking I was going down, because I was a photographer. That's what I did. That's who I was. And then I got a job working at a local tile wholesaler, and in their showroom doing design, because I got a car and I needed to pay for my car insurance.
And how'd you get from the first job to the tile company? Like, how did you? Craigslist?
Craigslist.
You were just looking for like any kind of job that would pay you more? How did it work?
It was part-time, so I would actually double dip. So I was doing the sporting goods store and the tile company at the same time.
Okay.
Because the tile company is 2 days a week, which was awesome for me. I was young. I was 24, 25 years old, so having that kind of schedule worked. But the tile company offered me a full-time position working on their website and helping them develop it. So that is where I started just doing full web dev, and I basically learned a lot of things on the fly. Now, I'm over 35, and I started my career right before 2008, before everything crashed. So I'm very fortunate that I never lost my job. I always had a job, and the tile company, they just kept giving me more responsibilities. So I left the sporting goods store and went fully with them, where I took over their site and helped them do a full site redesign, and they paid for my post-bac work, which was amazing. So when the economy crashed, I went back to school to learn multimedia interactive producing. So
okay.
Just fancy way of saying project management. So I learned a lot of design. I learned a lot of coding, because I figured if I was going to be managing projects with creative people, I need to know what they do, because creatives get lost in the weeds and you have to pull them back in sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like part of your journey has been like you take a skill set that you had. So you had photography, and that's actually what you wanted to do. And then you figured out that to actually execute photography for a company, you needed to put photos online. And doing that, you learned all the technical bits of how you had to actually get photos noticed on the internet by what you did from a search engine optimization perspective. So you go through that, and then you realize that that's actually a whole field, that web development is a whole field, and you take your next, you use those skills to actually get your next job. So would you say, like, in that journey, like, what have you learned that you would pass on about acquiring skills, about, anything from your experience that you think would be helpful advice for how to navigate those early years?
Maybe start with an example of the very first thing that you came across and you're like, I have no idea how to do this. This includes code. It's too hard. I thought I was doing something else, and I'm stuck. Talk about that first thing and how that affected you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big proponent of yes. So I think, the worst thing someone can say to you is no. So you might as well ask for help, and you might as well try. So I feel like my journey of just, I'm going to try it all. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I just move on to the next thing. But I think the biggest thing for me was, so after the tile company, I went to work at an agency. So I really wanted to work at a marketing agency. And I went in to work as an SEO, so a search engine optimization specialist. And I really didn't have great Excel skills, and it was like a fake it till you make it and Google it kind of thing, where trying to figure out VLOOKUPs and concatenating cells, I was like, oh, sure, I can totally do that. I have no problem. So that was one of those places where it's like, I knew I wanted to be an agency. I knew that I had really strong SEO skills, and that's something that I understood, but having that little bit of Excel knowledge that everyone else knew, I just kind of went with it. So that's like, don't let anything be a hurdle. Don't let anything get in your way. You can always ask for help. You can Google it. I ended up asking one of the lower level interns to help me and just show me how to do things, kind of inconspicuously, of course. And then had to Google a lot of things. But you could always learn what you're missing and what you're lacking. So don't ever let that get in your way of your goals.
And did you learn most of those things on the job or off the job?
A lot of things on the job. I've actually learned a lot just doing what I do. I have taken, so let's go back to Excel. I have taken Excel classes, but I mean, who remembers anything from an Excel class? It's just like a whole day in spreadsheets, and then it never has anything to do with what you actually do. So when it tells you to create a pivot table and you're going over accounting, I'm like, well, shoot, I don't know how to, sure, I can do it in the class, but then when you actually apply it, you're like, well, I have all this data here and it's all in a table, and what do you mean a pivot table? So yeah, just don't get in your own way. That's what I'm trying to say. You can do it.
So being willing to learn as you go is pretty important, right? Like, if you just apply a learning mindset to whatever you're doing, you can constantly acquire new skills, and you can learn them on the job as you go.
Oh yeah, and people are normally willing to help you, and you also have to realize that the people that you're asking help from, they have skills that they need to learn too, and they might come to you for something one day, and that you're really strong in one way. So I think that we're all learning from each other on the job.
So if you were to direct somebody to 3 skills to pick up in 2019 in marketing technology, what would they be?
Learn what marketing automation systems are.
That's a big one.
Yep. And know why Salesforce is important.
Okay.
And can you explain, before you go to number 3, we'll give you a little time to think about 3. Can you explain what a marketing automation system is and what it does for companies?
Yeah. A marketing automation system is a way for companies to track your success. So let's say that you have a paid search campaign, someone fills out your form. Where does that information go? So that information goes and lives in the marketing automation system. So it allows that company to then go follow up with that lead that you produced and helps you show success. It's also a way for companies to manage their customer base and their contacts. It's a way for companies to measure basically your marketing efforts. So it's pretty important to understand what those tools are. I don't think you have to know each of them in depth, but you have to know what they do.
What are some examples?
Marketo, Eloqua, what else? Pardot. Those are some examples of marketing automation systems. Marketo's that's the big dog in the market. So take a look at them. HubSpot too. HubSpot has a great conference, by the way.
So another way to explain what marketing automation is it's the system that marketers use to reach their customers. So via email, putting together web landing pages, putting together different types of advertising campaigns, and then they track all the ways that customers engage with them or potential customers engage with them through that software, essentially.
Yep.
And what was number 3?
3. I think a lot of people know what pay-per-click ads are. I think people are pretty comfortable with being served up ads in Google and what that looks like. I think people are pretty comfortable with looking at the search results. These are all things that we've been doing for years, but understand paid social. That business to business paid social is a is a growing field, and there's not a lot of people that get it. We are constantly looking for qualified people in B2B paid social. It would be a wonderful place if you're looking to break into this field to hone your skills on. A lot of people know how to do organic social. That's just your organic social posting. So, talking about your company on your company page and putting up, I don't know, what events but knowing how to run ads on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, I think those are skills that are invaluable right now.
So if I'm like, if I'm just getting my first jobs, and let's say I'm on Instagram, because everyone's on Instagram, and I'm like posting stories about myself, all day long. I'm posting like so many pictures, you can't even tap that fast. And I'm like showcasing my life and everything. Those skills, actually, you can get paid for those skills if you apply them to doing that social media for a company.
Yep. Yeah. So what we find is, companies, they'll just post their photos organically and put them out there, but knowing how to create an ad, target an audience, get the right landing page, put together the right creative is really what companies are looking for, and it's a skill that I don't think a lot of people have. So
and when you say put together the right creative, you mean design the ad itself, right?
Correct.
So those would be design skills that you need then, which most people start at a young age now.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, understanding what those ads should look like, understanding the rules. Facebook doesn't like a lot of text on their ads, so making sure that you don't have a lot of text in your ads, what the call to action is, or CTA, the colors that work on those, the wording on it. Google, if you really do like running, if you really do want to go down that creative path, Google has certain guidelines. You can't hit download now or I think download and some other word you can't use. But so you see a lot of get the guide or find out now. So, there's a lot of tricks to the trade that are pretty interesting to learn, and there's a whole bunch of nuances.
When you look, just for work, when you look at candidates that are maybe like early in their career and they're going to come in and get, let's just say, shoot for a paid social media job where they need to use that skill, what are the kinds of things you look for?
I mean, right off the bat, and this sounds super old school, but I do pay attention, like if you're coming in to meet me, what you're wearing. I have had people show up to interview, like, because digital marketing, it's a pretty casual workspace. You don't see people. I mean, shoot, I wear gym clothes to work sometimes. It's not a big deal, but I have had people show up to interviews in jeans and a t-shirt. Like, oh man, like that's cool to wear to work, but not to an interview. So I think that's a big one to consider. But right off the bat, I would start to ask somebody, well, with what I do you know B2B? Because the business to customer side is very different from the business to business side. The difference is with B2B, you have a longer sales cycle, you have more decision makers, and it's, you're building a relationship with that customer versus a one-time purchase. So that's a question I always ask people I interview. And then I would also ask them if they understand the differences between the social platforms and the strengths and why we use them. So with social or B2B paid social, LinkedIn is king. That's the one. Everyone's on LinkedIn. You're going to get your best leads and your highest quality leads off LinkedIn because that's where people are doing business. That's where people are interacting professionally. You do find some quality on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But the highest quality is going to be LinkedIn, and I would ask someone to explain that to me and why.
Very nice.
Cool. Okay, so we talked a little bit about skills. If you were to, if somebody were coming to you now, knowing what you know about, how you navigated your job path and trends in marketing, like, social media, if somebody was coming to you now and asked you for job advice based on your experience, what is some of the advice that you would share?
Um, Network, get to know a lot of people. I've gotten that advice from someone. Right there. I think it's just really important. Kristen has told me to build my network, and I think it's extremely important to get to know as many people in the field as possible. I would also say, I said this earlier, say yes and try everything. You're not gonna, failing doesn't hurt. You know, you just tried it and you move on. So, you know, don't be timid, and, you know, get to know people, and also be a good listener and hone up on your communication skills, because there's so much to learn from other people, and listening and being attentive and being present makes a big difference.
Yeah, the cool thing about those skills that you mentioned, like listening and good people skills in general, is that you can get those in any kind of job.
Yep.
So if you're in retail, if you're in hospitality, any kind of job you have where you interact with people, that's actually really helpful in marketing and in your job in interacting with clients. Is that something you pay attention to in particular?
Oh, yeah. So actually, it's funny you say that, because when the economy tanked, the tile company pulled me away from just doing my web work and asked if I could help in the showroom. So I was like, okay, of course I would, because I'm going to keep my job. But while I was in the showroom, seeing that really wasn't something that I wanted to do, I was like, okay, well, what can I do with myself while I'm here? So I really worked on my communication skills and my people skills. So I would test out different ways of talking to a customer, or how I would sell things, or work on my listening skills. So even then, in a position that I didn't really want to be in, I was able to, you know, hone in on those skills and polish up on what that is.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you can take through any job in marketing, but also any job in general. It's so important to be able to communicate with people, and it really helps you move along and open up your options of jobs that you can be in using those skills.
Yeah, and with what we do, I mean, we deal with so many different kinds of personalities. I mean, I will work with a lower level coordinator who is just trying to, you know, please their boss. And then I will work with VP level people. I will work with C-suite level people. And you constantly have to change how you communicate with each of them, because all of them have different goals and all of them have different things that they're working toward. So being able to change that communication style depending on who you're talking to is, I think, it's a really powerful thing in this career.
So if you were to give advice to somebody that it's their first job and they want to get into marketing, you mentioned communication being a big skill. Could communication paired with a couple other skills actually get you into a first, you know, associate or junior level job? And what would that be paired with?
Well, so if you really want to break through, start looking at what those entry-level positions are and read the job descriptions and start looking at what those skills are. I think just seeing what those look like can tell you what you need to do for that position. But if you want to learn SEO, going on to Moz, M-O-Z, their blog, they have excellent SEO resources. They have just endless resources and 101 guides that will give you, you know, just your base knowledge and help you be able to speak to what SEO is in an interview. PPC Hero and Google have really great paid search recommendations. I would, you know, take a look at what they're producing. PPC Hero does really awesome videos. And again, this is just to help you find baseline knowledge, because all you have to do is, you know, kind of fake it till you make it. You know, get in there, impress someone in the job interview, and then get your skills. Because if you're just looking to break through and it's your first job in marketing, they're not expecting you to know everything. They're expecting you to know something. And then most companies are willing to train and spend some time with you. Like the company I'm at now, we have a digital marketing coordinator position where we bring in entry-level people. You learn all of our different services, and then we place you at the end of your 90 days. So I think companies are totally open to spending time with you. And then for paid social, to learn more about that, really LinkedIn's your source, taking a look at their blog and the resources that they have and reading up on just their support section.
And would you say that, like, for an entry-level candidate who's trying to, break into marketing, whether it is using the tactics, I think, well, we'll start with using the tactics of ranking for keywords. You could through your own personal website, if you have a brand, or through your own personal social things on Instagram or Facebook, you can actually show that you've grown an audience, that you've been able to rank on something, and use that as your experience that you're showcasing in your first interview, for example.
Yeah, you could also, if you're super passionate about paid search and SEO, get certified on Google. Google has a Google Analytics certification, and they also have a Google Ads certification. So walking into an interview with your certification is pretty powerful. I think anything that's at that education level that can put you one step ahead of somebody else, because you might be up against one other person who has a very similar skill set as you do, but you went and got certified.
Right.
And then they're like, they got their, and that's something you can do all by yourself. You don't have to, they have the instructional videos online, they have the tests online, it's all free.
Great.
Yeah. Anything else you would want people to know about marketing? Are you enjoying yourself? Is it a job path that you're happy with?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely is. I hope to, as a next step, I want to be a head of marketing or a director of marketing at a company. And then eventually I would love to be a CMO, a chief marketing officer. So I'm not leaving the marketing field anytime soon.
And it's fun. You're having fun?
I love it. I love working in tech. I think it's really exciting. I think this is a great time to be in this career because it's always changing. And if you are someone like me who just really enjoys that fast-paced environment, it's for you. I really, really do love helping. I love working with people. I'm on that account management side of things. I love helping strategize and looking at big level and high level ideas and executing our ideas. So I think it's super exciting. And, even if you get into this career and you don't want to go into tech, there are so many different ways to apply these skills. So, think about Zappos. That's a shoe company that's running ads and doing SEO. There's small contractors, there's interior designers, there's all sorts of different companies that are using digital marketing, and they're not, a big conglomerate. They're
That's
just,
right.
Regular people looking to sell their products to their local market. So I think it's a lot of fun, and you can use these skills in a lot of different places.
Awesome. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. I think there's so much useful information for people to take away. And for anyone looking to start their career in marketing, we at Ox are helping on that journey, help you identify your skills and also how you apply those skills to your first jobs.
Yep.
So check us out, ox.work. That's my plug. I'm a marketer, so I can do that.
Good. Thanks again for joining.
All right. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks.